I had always been fascinated by the mysteries surrounding Alcatraz Island, the infamous former prison in the middle of San Francisco Bay. The eerie stories of its haunted past had drawn me in, and I decided to visit the island to explore the chilling tales firsthand. Little did I know that this trip would change my life forever. Accompanied by a small group of fellow thrill seekers, we embarked on the boat ride to the island. The ominous silhouette of Alcatraz grew larger as we approached, and a shiver ran down my spine. The island's grim history was unmistakable, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. Our guide, a seasoned historian named Emily, led us on a tour of the decaying prison. As we entered the cell block, a sudden drop in temperature sent a collective chill through our group. Emily explained that this phenomenon was not uncommon on the island, even on the warmest of days. The first stop on our tour was D Block, the isolation unit, which had earned the nickname The Hole. It was here that prisoners were subjected to the cruelest forms of punishment. As we ventured deeper into the block, the atmosphere grew denser, and the air seemed to reverberate with the tortured whispers of former inmates. In one of the cramped, dimly lit cells, I encountered a presence that sent shivers down my spine. It was an unsettling feeling, as though someone unseen were watching my every move. My skin prickled with dread, and I knew I was not alone. I fumbled for my flashlight, its beam revealing nothing but the cold, empty cell. Emily continued to regale us with stories of the ghostly apparitions that had been reported by former prison guards and visitors. Some claimed to have seen shadowy figures moving in the darkness, while others heard the unmistakable clanging of cell doors or ghostly moans in the dead of night. As the tour continued, the sense of unease intensified. We passed by the prison hospital, where countless inmates had suffered and died. The heavy weight of despair seemed to hang in the air. It was in this very place that some visitors had reported encountering the ghosts of former patients. We ventured into the prison's mess hall, and the haunting memories of violent riots and desperate inmates filled my thoughts. It was here that I experienced the most profound encounter of the night. I was drawn to a particular corner of the mess hall, where a shadowy figure materialized before my eyes. The figure was translucent, its features distorted by suffering. It reached out to me, and I could feel its overwhelming despair. In that moment, I knew I was face to face with the lingering spirit of a former inmate, trapped in a never-ending purgatory. As our group left the mess hall, I couldn't shake the feeling of sorrow and dread that clung to me. The echoes of Alcatraz's tormented past seemed to follow us, and I couldn't help but wonder if the souls of the former prisoners were indeed still imprisoned on the island. Our tour ended, and we boarded the boat to return to the mainland. I couldn't stop thinking about the haunting experiences I had just encountered. The ghosts of Alcatraz were undeniably real, and their presence was a chilling testament to the prison's dark history. I left Alcatraz with a newfound appreciation for the mysteries of the afterlife. The spirits of the former inmates continued to wander the desolate halls, trapped in a never-ending nightmare. Alcatraz was more than a prison. It was a place where the past and the present converged in a hauntingly unforgettable way. The Haunting of Alcatraz was a chilling journey into the heart of one of America's most notorious prisons, where the tormented souls of its former prisoners continue to roam in search of release from their eternal confinement.